Sahi, how are you, by the way?
Good. Yo, what's the word, man? It's your boy Smoke With Me TV, bro. If y'all see, I came out here to catch this world renowned, you know what I'm saying? Man, do brother.
Yes, sir. Pleasure to be here, God. Peace, God. We here. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for coming
How
out.
you?
Thanks for coming to the spot. You guys welcome. By the way, guys, it's Black Influence is live as hell.
See what you doing?
Y'all see that T-shirt, right?
See what you
Ooh,
doing?
the back is fire.
Got that Dewey Cooper special. You heard?
So lit.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. Hey, y'all can't cop this. This is strictly for the team.
Strictly. But let's get into it, yo. What got you into the fight game?
I grew up in LA. Nothing we have in common. We both West Coast kids. Grew up in LA, but I grew up in LA in the late '70s, early '80s. And you know that the drug thing went well all through America. It hit New York first, then it came to the West Coast. And when that crack epidemic hit, the gang violence went crazy in LA when I was a little kid. The Crip and Blood thing blew up. They migrated all over the country. As you see the effects of that now, Crips and Bloods everywhere, even in New York. But anyway, I grew up in an area where there's a lot of violence going on. I was fighting before I actually started training fighting, street fighting all the time. I was in elementary school, like 8, 9 years old. People thought I was like 15, 16 years old. So I got 3 older brothers, 4 older sisters. I'm the youngest of 8. Just a lot of violence where I was at. And I got in a lot of street fights as a kid. And there was a kickboxing gym opened up near my house. I joined it, started doing Muay Thai. And 9 years old, I started. And I've been doing it ever since.
All right. I know you did the kickboxing.
Yes,
You
sir.
did boxing for a little
Yes,
while
sir.
too. You know what I'm saying, which other two that you like better?
Well, I had 145 amateur Muay Thai fights before I turned pro. I got 70 professional Muay kickboxing fights, 25 professional boxing fights, and 4 professional mixed martial arts fights. Um, I'm definitely a kickboxer. That's my soul. My love is boxing. I mean, once you get a taste of professional boxing, man, there's nothing like a 12-round world championship boxing fight. As much as I love mixed martial arts and all of that, love the UFC, love Bellator, love PFL, love all the MMA. Nothing compares to world championship boxing. It's the oldest pugilistic sport, and it's still number one in my book. Though I'm a pure pugilist, I love fighting since I was a kid. Whether it's street fighting or organized fighting, there's nothing more exciting to me than fighting. So I love all three. But you ask me what I am, I'm a kickboxer, a Hall of Fame kickboxer,
Facts.
who loves boxing and who's a professional boxer and also a professional mixed martial artist. And now I'm a 10-time world championship winning fight coach in kickboxing, in boxing, in mixed martial arts, and bare knuckle boxing. Won a championship in that. And my last champion to win that great number of 10 is Jamie, the Miracle Mitchell.
Yeah, y'all already know how we do with the Miracle. You know what I'm saying? That's big sis right there. You know what I'm saying? She hold it down for the family. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got nothing but love for her. So, you know what I'm saying? I gotta say peace to Jamie for even making this happen, for bringing me and, you know what I'm saying, Dewey together. Like, this ain't nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? And I've been watching you, like I said, I was watching you honestly longer than I've been watching Jamie.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I ain't gonna feel like I'm sitting here, she got me sweating, like I'm just even sitting here in the presence of a world renowned trainer like Dewey Cooper. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of surreal right now for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here in Vegas. I've been out here for what? Not even a full hour. And I'm already sitting, you know what I'm saying, in a room with greatness. Like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be around him and Jamie are like, they real good people. You know what I mean? And like I said, I've been following him for years. I've been following Jamie, you know what I'm saying, for like 3-4 years. Like, and I fell in love with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you doing even right now, you're doing a lot of big things. You got the heavyweight champion UFC right now.
Yes, sir.
How does that feel to have Francis? You know what I'm saying? You coaching Francis, being right by his side every move.
Yes, sir. Francis came from France to the U.S. and they called me before he even got here about trading him. I got to give Forrest Griffin, ex-UFC light heavyweight champion, the credit for that. He told Francis he should train with me because of my expertise in boxing. Also, Francis wanted to be a boxer. He didn't know what mixed martial arts was, but you guys all heard the story in France. He ended up doing MMA instead of boxing because his original coach suggested he should do mixed martial arts. When I first got Francis over 6 years ago now, I knew he was going to be champion when I first met him. He's just a big, strong, athletic specimen. And I knew it would take a little time, but I knew, man, he was going to just smash everybody in the UFC. He had to go through some adversity like we all do in
Yeah,
life.
everybody does.
You know what I mean? But that just makes his story better and shows his true character. Because we can all celebrate when we're on top. What happens when adversity hits? Are we gonna blame other people or are we gonna suck it up and get better? So what it feels like to have a UFC heavyweight champion, it feels really good, especially after what just transpired in January with him having his last fight on contract, not doing the contract extension, and really putting double down on himself to take a fight against an ex guy in the gym, his ex coach, number one contender fighter, undefeated, and to blow his knee out 3 weeks before the fight was crazy. That he still went out there and got it done. So I'm extremely proud to be with Francis Ngannou, and I'm just as proud to be a Miracle Mitchell. That's two title defenses in 2022 already. Francis did it January 22nd of this year, and then 2 weeks later, the Miracle Mitchell did it February 5th. So
not for nothing, what we need to do out there, we need to be putting this man's name up there as trainer of the year. You know what I'm saying? For boxing, UFC, and all these other things, because you got to think, ain't no other boxer. I mean, Eddie Reynoso ain't doing what he's doing. He's in every combat sport and got champions in all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Some of martial arts, real fast. That's the different side of me. I love boxing. Boxing is actually my favorite thing. But I'm a martial artist, and martial means war. If you're considered a martial artist, you gotta be able to do everything. And as far as accolades, man, listen, there's a lot of greatness in all aspects of fighting. There's a lot of great coaches. So I don't even care if anyone ever nominates me for anything. I was nominated for Trainer of the Year in boxing in 2016 when Jesse Vargas knocked down your East Coast brethren, Saddam Ali, and won the WBO welterweight title. Then we fought Pacquiao later that year and lost. Otherwise, I'm sure had we beat Pacquiao, I would have probably won that Trainer of the Year award that year. But it's all good, man. I appreciate people acknowledging me, but at the end of the day, all I care about is my family, my team, and my friends. I'm gonna say it bluntly. I don't give a fuck about nothing else. As long as my family love me and support what I do and respect what I do, as long as the fighters can look me in my eyes and say, thank you, coach, as long as my real circle, my real friends, admire me for the dedication and shit I put into my craft, that's all I care about. The fans are great, but they're fickle sometimes. I've had standing ovations and a room full of people, and I had people boo me, in the crowd before. I've had every walk and every thing that happened to me in this fight world since I've been doing it. I remember as a little kid winning a fight, doing my first autograph, taking Polaroid pictures back in the 80s. I remember walking through crowds and nobody even knew who the fuck I was at an event where 4 years before I won the shit. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how this world is. That's why all I really focus on is my family, my fighters, and my true friends. Everything else, I appreciate the fanfare, but man, people are so fickle. I've had death threats after Francis lost his fight against Stipe. 8-9 of them. People told me they're going to murder me when they see me because our fighter lost the fight. We lost that night. Sometimes it happens. You know what I mean? So, I appreciate you even saying Trainer of the Year. And any award is always a reward. You know what I mean? An award is a reward for the work you put in. But man, I don't give a fuck about that. As long as Jamie appreciates the energy that we spend together, and Francis does, and all my fighters from Bubba Jenkins to Twilight Timmy to all these guys, Javed, Farid, all my guys, that's all I care about, honestly.
To mention Bubba, that's my man. I love Bubba. I think I got a little brother named Bubba. You know what I'm saying? So I already, as soon as I heard the name, my eye, let me watch dude. But dude, nice. Yeah. Like, I love Bubba.
Yeah. Bubba fighting April 28th in the PFL. So he's in training camp. Was that today? Jamie Miracle Mitchell and Bubba was training together doing conditioning today. Working too, looking good out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, Bubba is great.
Coming for that interview, Bubba.
Yeah, Bub's one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of wrestling, and he transferred it over to mixed martial arts. He won a championship in the Brave organization, and we're coming for that championship strap in the PFL this year, 2022. ESPN, holla at us.
You heard him. So what was, like, when you were fighting, right? Whether it was boxing, kickboxing, MMA, like, what was like your main goal that you set for yourself?
My main goal was to become a world champion. I did that twice in kickboxing. And my next goal was to become a world champion in boxing. I failed in that. I fought Arthur Williams for the cruiserweight title, and I ended up losing a majority decision in a fight that I thought I won. But hey, I didn't, and we just built from that. But my goal was always championships. Whatever I do, become a world champion. And sometimes you fail. In my case, many times we don't, but sometimes we do, and we just live with that and learn from it. I know it's cliche, a loss ain't a loss, it's a lesson, but it's actually true too, that as long as you don't let any failure in life, whether it be in a sport like fighting or in your life, if we lose at something, we lose a job, someone leave us, a bad breakup, don't let those failures really make you feel like you lost something, because as long as we're alive, we win it, man. You know what I mean? It's just a perspective. And so I learned that from a long time. The best mentality is always to expect greatness out of yourself and see where it takes you. You know what I mean? And so that was always my goal, to just win as much as I could and become the best in the world at what I do. And that's still the aim right now. That's still the focus. That's why we still put so much energy into what we do. That's why Jamie still puts so much energy in what she does. That's why Francis was willing to go through with the toughest fight of his life on one leg, because we all have the same energy. And that's that aspiration to create our greatness. And we all have a certain level of greatness within us. We just can't be lazy. We have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be willing to work extremely hard to get there. And that's one thing about life in itself. Every single life on this planet has a certain level of greatness within it. However, it takes work, and it's a hell of a journey to get there.
All right. When it's all said and done, right? And you like, you know what? I'm just retiring from fighting, period. Trainer, boxer, kickboxer. What is that you want to mostly be remembered for?
I want to be, and that's a great question. I can tell you exactly what I want to be remembered for. I want my fighters, two things. Let's say at my retirement, after Bubba Jenkins' son retires, that's the last one. We already declared that. Dream, the Nightmare Jenkins, he's 7 years old. He's going to be my last fighter that I trade. Bubba Jenkins' little son. After it's all said and done, in a perfect world, I would love for my fighters to say, you know what, I appreciate Coach Dewey Cooper, because he not only made me a better fighter, but he made me a better person with a broader perspective about just accomplishment and focus. And I can repeat that again, because it ain't something I'm making up right now. I really mean that. I want my fighters to be able to say that I made them a better person, as far as, being focused, and as far as really being a broad perspective type thing, and realize that it takes so much work and dedication to do what we do if you want to be remembered, and if you want to be a world champion, and if you want to achieve your ultimate greatness. A lot of motherfuckers out there talk about it. A lot of motherfucking people say what they're going to do. They want these dreams, they got these dreams of grandeur, but they got the motivation of an immature child. You know, they don't want to go the long haul. They don't want to pound the pavement. They don't want to lose and get up and have to make that shit right. And if you don't want to do that, man, you'll never exceed or even reach your greatness. So I want Jamie and other people to say, hey, coach helped me become a better person, a better fighter, and just have a better view on everything. Because it's all the same energy, whether you're fighting or whether you're at the workplace and you're trying to make money for your family. It takes a level of discipline, it takes a level of desire, it takes a level of drive to really achieve what you want to achieve. You flew out here from New York. You know, you didn't have to be out here. You going across the goddamn country to do interviews because you have a level that you want black influence to be. Great name. I support black influence 100%.
Y'all heard it from the king, dude. Facts.
But you pounding the pavement. You pounding the pavement, man. This shit ain't free. It costs money to take flights and get hotels and all this shit. You pounding the pavement. And so your greatness is coming even bigger than what it already is. It's going to keep growing. And one day people will probably look at you and say, oh, he got this and that, not realizing how you just struggled and pushed the envelope, you know.
Saying that, brother.
And so I just want them to realize that don't take shortcuts, work hard, be honest, have integrity, and follow Dewey D's: dedication, determination, discipline, devotion, desire, and drive to get to your destiny.
Look, man, he just answered a question I was already going to ask him. Like, what would he tell like these young fighters coming up? But there you go, right there. Like, he just answered like 3 or 4 questions in one.
Yes, sir.
Got like probably like 2 or 3 more questions for you. In boxing, who's like your all time, like your top 5 all time?
Top 5, number 1, Sugar Ray Robinson. Number 2, Muhammad Ali. And the only reason why I don't have him flip flop is because, of course, the crazy record Sugar Ray had, and Sugar Ray was Muhammad Ali's influence from the white shorts with the black stripe to the swagger to the brash, confident talk to the shuffle, what we call the Ali shuffle. Sugar Ray was doing that before Ali.
That's a whole fact.
So Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali. Number 3 is so hard for me because this is just because of the era I'm from. I love Evander Holyfield, but I love Lennox Lewis equally. Since Lennox got the dreadlocks, I'm gonna rock with Lennox Lewis number 3. Well, not anymore, but he did. I'm gonna rock with Lennox Lewis number 3. God, I gotta say Evander Holyfield number 4, and that last spot. Ooh, that's hard for me. It's either Roy Jones or Tito Trinidad. And I love me some Tito Trinidad, man. You know, I love me some Tito Trinidad. Roy Jones, Roy Jones, to me, was definitely a greater fighter out of Tito Trinidad and him. But Tito had me freaking out when he fought. I love Tito. So number 5, unfortunately, I'm going with Felix Tito Trinidad. Roy Jones should be there. But, man, I used to watch Tito Trinidad fights and go crazy. When he got beat by Benoit Hopkins, I was sad for weeks over that shit.
I was the opposite, man.
And I knew B-Hop. I love B-Hop, too.
I was hard on B-Hop, man. Like, I love B-Hop. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted B-Hop to beat up on everybody. Oscar, all them dudes. When I see him fight Trinidad, my stepmother, piece of my stepmother, Rebecca, she's probably watching right now too. She's Puerto Rican.
Yeah. She
came in the house. Trinidad gonna beat the mess out of Hopkins. I'm like, nah, you crazy. Hopkins, that dude.
I knew B-Hop was gonna beat him. IQ smarts. I knew B-Hop was gonna beat him, but I was so mentally invested in Tito. I just loved Tito. I loved that when he came to the ring. When he walked out, he had a big smile on his face, eyes gleaming. He was excited to fight. Yeah. I love that he would get knocked down and hurt early and get up and stop his opponents. I love that he just had that heart that was infectious to me. I used to watch this dude fight and get excited and go train in the middle of the night because the fights come on like 9 o'clock out here, it'd be 12 in New York. Yeah. So after the fight was over, it's like 10:30. I would go train in the gym after that because I was so hyped about Tito. You know what I mean? Tito was my guy, man. So I was really sad when B Hop beat him. And remember, by the way, as far as Bernard Hopkins, I was one of his executioners when he fought the rematch with Antoine Eccles. He used to have the guys with the mask and the Wu Tang
That was
axe.
one of the dudes was you?
Yeah, I was one of them. It was me and this guy named Grant White. You know,
I never knew that.
Yeah. I was standing back there with the axe. I love B.I.P. too. He's in my top 10, but Tito was my man. You know what I mean?
That's love, man. I never knew that, man. He was one of the executioners.
I'll send you the picture on your gram. But yeah, when he fought Antoine Eccles in the rematch, the second fight, I was executioner, and I was able to hang out with B-Hop like for that last week of his training camp. Was there every day watching him, talk to him. He gave me some good knowledge. B-Hop was the first person that told me a professional, if you consider yourself a professional, you should never take more than a week off, ever. He said he takes 3 to 4 days off and he's doing something, whether it's running, jump rope, something. You are a professional at this shit. Ain't no taking a month off after fights and all of that. B-Hop gave me some real good info when I was young coming up, and I kept that in my heart and I always kept it in my mind. And so B-Hop is definitely my man, but I'll never forget that. By the way, to this day, when B-Hop sees me, he remembers me from that. He calls me X. When Saddam Ali and Jesse Morgan fought back in 2016, at the interview, B-Hop was calling me X, and I told him what was going to happen in that fight. He looked at me and gave me the X. He called me X to this day.
That's love, man. That's love. Cause good, man. That's a whole world round Hall of Famer.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? One of the best dudes to do it. You know
yes.
One of the best dudes.
And by the way, I trained Beirut Shumanov also, who was the light heavyweight WBA champion. We had 3 title defenses, and we lost our belt to B-Hop. Even during that whole little fight promoting stuff, he would call me X. Even when I was in the corner against him.
Yeah, no,
never love.
That's that mutual respect right there. You know what I'm saying?
So big shots to B-Hop.
Big shouts out to B-Hop. You know what I'm saying? That's one of my favorites. Let me see. How do you feel about the state of boxing today? Like with the things that's going on and with the PEDs and
you already know what I'm gonna say.
Like the way the 135, 130, 140 weight divisions are moved around. Like, how do you feel about what's going on?
Well, all the situations you mentioned that's going on is a causal effect from the basic bottom line problem with boxing. There's only one problem with boxing, and that one problem has created so many micro problems. And that one problem is boxing is a business disguised as a sport. It's not even a sport anymore. And the reason why mixed martial arts and companies like the UFC have gained leverage and momentum and popularity over boxing is because of these reasons. 2 things. The business side, we never get to see the fights we want to see them when it's time to see them because different promotions don't want to, take a smaller percentage, or they don't want their undefeated fighter to lose. There's so much business involved to where when I was a kid, I really thought this was just about badass dudes fighting against badass dudes. I couldn't imagine being a champion like the WBC champion. And there's a guy in my same weight class, or there's 3 guys in my same weight class with 3 different belts, WBA, IBF, and WBO, saying they're champions in my same weight class. We'd have to fight. We'd have to fight back to back to back. We'd have to unify. I mean, it's crazy to me that there's 4 different legitimate world champions, and they are legitimate world champions in different weight classes, and we have to wait 4 or 5 years for guys to unify for a fucking belt.
It's insane. That's why I ask everybody the same question.
I understand after you win the strap, okay, take 1 or 2 fights just to get some title defenses, and you deserve that. You won a world championship. You don't have to fight a war every time, but after 1 or 2 fights, you need to say, okay, who's the real champ? I'm sorry, when it comes to fighting, I got an ego. If me and you the same weight class, and we both are legitimate world champions, we gotta fight.
You gotta get it, win or lose.
We gotta fight. And I understand everyone says, but Dewey, it's bad business. But that's why mixed martial arts has gained momentum on boxing, because everyone's more worried about the business than the sport of boxing. and the supremacy and the pride of being the champion. So that's the problem. That's 1A. 1B, boxing, since it's a business disguised as a sport, there's some people that say sour on it. I remember back in the 90s when I used to fight, I fought on Friday night fights on ESPN2 like 4 or 5 times, in boxing. And I'll never forget announcers that's announcing this show. I'm not gonna say names because y'all know who announced Friday Night Fights, but guys will be legitimate world champions, and they're called title holders. You know what I mean? So if the announcer's gonna downplay the relevance of a champion, why the fuck should the fan admire him or look at him like he's special? If you're the WBO welterweight champ, and I don't even have respect to call you WBO welterweight champ, I say, yeah, title holder. Fuck does that mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then talking bad about the sport on TV. The difference out of mixed martial arts and boxing, and I'm in both of them real heavy, and it's the God's honest truth. In the UFC, for instance, there's been some bad fights, like fights that sucked, but you will never hear an announcer say, man, these fights are horrible, this guy's overmatched, this guy's lousy. They're going to embellish whatever's going on because you don't disrespect the product. You hear it in boxing all the time. Soup can champion, overmatched this guy. These guys are disrespecting the guys that's fighting in the ring, the announcer. So if the announcer has no respect for the level of opposition you face, why the fuck should we respect you as a champion?
That's true.
And so that happens too much. I understand they're keeping it real, but sometimes you got to save that for us to decide. If an announcer for a boxing fight is disrespecting the product that you're watching, why the fuck should the fans respect it? And that's why I said a causal effect. That has caused people to not really view boxing as the gladiator sport that it is. Because I've done all three professionally, and boxing is a gladiator sport. More people die in the sport of boxing than any other fight sport. 2-3 guys a year die boxing. Two guys in the history of MMA that died over 20 years.
And MMA is a little bit more ruthless
than boxing. That's what you would think. But remember, boxing, you got head shots and body shots. That's it. There's no grappling. There's no wrestling. There's no leg kicks. Therefore, in boxing, you get hit to the head much, much more. And that's what causes deaths. You know what I mean? So boxing is actually more deadly. MMA is just a more brutal sport. Okay. The shins, clacking shins. But if I can kick you in your leg 8 times and only punch you in your head twice, you only got hit twice. In boxing, you get hit in the head 20 times around. You know what I mean? And so boxing, just look at the numbers, man. People die, last year before, 4 or 5 people died in a 3-month period.
Yeah, rest in peace. Y'all know I always say rest in peace, Patrick Day, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Patrick Day comes to mind. So, it's crazy. So these are the problems with boxing. It's a business disguised as a sport, and it's too blatant. And the announcers have turned on the sport and half of the goddamn telecast you see. In MMA, if you talk bad about the sport that you're commentating on, you are fired. Straight up. That's why you will never hear them say, oh, this fight sucks. Oh, that guy's not good. He's a lousy fighter. You will get fired from that. Because at the end of the day, you are selling a product, and you have to respect guys getting in there to compete, because you can get your ass killed in there. Getting knocked unconscious is a reward for what could happen. You could die in there. So, and these are just my opinions, but I just cringe when I hear in boxing, you got the popular champion, everyone, WBA champion, blah, blah, blah. But then the other guys are champion also, and they say title holder. Or you got 4 world champions, you got the one popular guy. There's 2 other champions in the same division, and people talk about them. And these are professionals, not fans. Talk about them like they're not really world champions. If you won the WBO belt or the WBA belt, you are a world champion. You know what I mean? Right. We had the same thing when we fought Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao is an iconic fighter. By the way, Pacquiao's on my top 10 too. I love Manny Pacquiao. So it's weird having to fight against him. It was weird having to fight against him, but I always had love for Manny. But even in our fight, Manny Pacquiao's an icon, but at the time, Pacquiao was fighting Jesse Vargas for his WBO welterweight belt. They were making it seem like oh, just some title holder, Jesse Bogus versus Icon Benny Packy. I was like, hold up,
Yeah, nah, they gotta give when it comes to Jesse, they gotta give Jesse some type of respect.
Yeah.
Jesse's been in there with some
Yeah,
good
for
things.
sure. And just a two-time world champion. But I'm just saying, you know, it was crazy. He's the world champion. Pacquiao's fighting for his belt. Make sure, don't say title holder or, you know, he's WBO, current WBO world champion. And that's just one example. But way before that fight happened, they do it all the time. It's crazy to me. In UFC, if you are a champion, you are the man. In Bellator, any of these MMA and mixed martial arts companies, if you are a champion, you are the man. And so boxing really need to clean that up. Don't discount a guy because he's not the popular champion. If he has one of those 4 world titles, he's a motherfucking world champion, not a title holder.
All right. One more question. Errol Spence, Terrence Bud Crawford.
I love Earl. He's actually a friend of mine. He's came out with Jim and Train because I used to train a guy named Thomas Hill, who was a very close friend of his. So I just seen Earl last month in Dallas when my fighter S3 Samuel Arnold fought out there. And by the way, Samuel Arnold during his fight on the undercard of Earl Spence's Ugas fight. So I gotta put respect to Earl Spence's name, man. Incredible fighter. To me, one of the 2 best welterweights in the world. Even though the Ugas fight is a scary fight, man. Ugas is a scary fight. Real scary fight. But when it comes to Terrence Bud Crawford, we would kind of be crazy if we say that someone right now in the welterweight division can beat him. I just think we'd be crazy to say it. Earl Spence is the guy that probably could, but I just can't step over the edge and say I'll take Earl Spence in that fight. And the reason why is because Bud Crawford is multi-dimensional. He has so many assets he could rely on. If you're putting that pressure on, he can go counter-puncher mode. He can go boxer-puncher mode. He can go southpaw effectively. And he got power in both hands, too. He got underhand power, man. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about Earl Spence. He's about Bud Crawford. He's multifaceted, and he's a hard guy to beat because he can keep switching styles on you. Earl, we know, he's sparring 20 rounds at the gym. He old school, cut from that old school cloth, that Jack Dempsey chopper wood cloth. He gonna come and break it down with them hard ass body shots and that tenacity. But I think Bud Crawford is the one guy who has the athleticism and the different dimensions that could give Earl trouble.
All right.
So if they were to fight, I would say 55-45 to Bud. If they fight within the next year and a half, if they wait a little too long, then it can switch.
I got a feeling everybody wishes gonna come true by December.
Yes.
I got a real like I'll be on Clubhouse with Punch by Punch Boxing,
yes,
Art Brand, and there's a guy up there named Apostle, aka Apostle. You might have seen him on Instagram a couple times.
Yeah, I seen him.
Apostle came to me. He's like, "Yo, listen, I'm telling you, such and such." And so far, everything he's been saying about Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is just little by little just been happening.
Yes.
It's just been happening. He's like, "Yo, I'm telling you, watch, around December 22nd, we're fighting." And I'm like, I'm kind of believing it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they do. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Ugas is a tough out for anyone. And if you watch that Sean Porter fight again, there should have been a late knockdown in that fight, which could have switched it. The whole world would be different if Ugas wins that fight with Porter. It was a very close fight. A lot of people thought Ugas won it. I believe you know. So if you believe Ugas won that fight, you seen Earl and Sean. Now you seen how tight that fight was. That late knockdown by Earl Spence is what won that fight.
That's what I said.
Remember, Ugas had a late knockdown that wasn't counted in the Sean Porter fight. So if you compare those 2 fights, they were virtually the same. Ugas is a live ass supporter for Earl.
Because
if you judge it by that fight, they both kind of edged out Sean Porter. The decision just went opposite. So this fight should be a really tough fight. Ugas, man's a tough out. Not going that far, step up the edge, saying Ugas gonna beat Earl. but I really think it's gonna be a real telling fight. But Spence run through there and smash Ugas. Woo! Now I'm 49-51. Bud Crawford, Earl. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm gonna be there. Like I said, I'm in the corner of Samuel Arnold the third for that Earl Spence Ugas fight in Dallas. And man, I'm so excited for that fight, man. That's gonna be. I really feel it's gonna be a competitive war. I'm giving Earl Spence the edge to win the fight, but I think it's going 12 rounds for sure.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's going 12. Me personally, I believe it's going 12 or Earl gonna get him out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Earl got a point to prove. He's been sparring with the heavyweights.
Yes.
Getting ready for Ugas. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make sure that eye is on point. Because I feel, me personally, I feel that something down the line is wrong with that eye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Bud, him getting in the ring with somebody like Bud, Bud gonna tear up that eye. He gonna be looking for it.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And the thing about the heavyweights, I'm indifferent about that. It might be good, but it might be bad too. Two reasons: you got the strength of a heavyweight, but what about the work rate and speed and placement? A welterweight, no matter who you think you are, you might get in there with a bigger, stronger guy, but if he's not punching with the same volume, same accuracy, same speed, it could be misleading. So I'm sure they're sparring welterweights also, so I'm sure they're covering all the bases. You know, they're a real smart team. But I don't like to spar heavyweights too much because one thing we all can agree on: the punch output of a heavyweight is not that of a welterweight.
That's a fact.
And that's the difference. You know, Ugas get on that jab, he can box inside out. You know, so just because a dude hits harder don't mean it's smarter to spar with a guy like that. But I hear what you're saying too. I'm not debating with you. Want to see if the eye durable and can handle it. I don't know. If I were to, I would have him spar with too many heavyweights though.
No,
Maybe once or twice, just to feel like he want to be able to walk down a heavyweight, so you know he got that bare strength. But too much of that could be really counterproductive.
All right, now, so what you got going on this weekend?
This weekend, I have a young fighter named Santino Zarita fighting in the PFL in Orlando. I'm leaving first thing in the morning. The fight leaves at 6:30 a.m. That's why we did this now, because I'm like, I want to be here. I've been in Miami 3 weeks. I was in Florida 3 weeks in a row. Miami twice. Kevin Lee fought on Khabib's Eagle Fighting Championship show against Diego Sanchez 2 weeks ago. Last Saturday, my young fighter Twilight Timmy Kwambo fought on the first Freedom Fight MMA show. And now this Friday, Santino Zarita fights in the PFL. So it's going down.
Message to Santino. You got to win this fight. I'm in Vegas. My son's name is Santino. You got to win this fight for me.
Holy,
you know what I'm saying?
I've never heard that name before and never heard it twice.
My son's name is Santino Sonny Lanier.
Wow.
I'm saying I named him after that's the Godfather's first. That's Vito Corleone's first son in the movie. That's his son's name.
Yes.
Santino Sonny Corleone. So Santino, you see this, man? You gotta win, man. You got my son's name. And when I tell my son, you're gonna be his favorite person in the world, man.
Yes, and Santino, we 6-0 this year.
Let's go.
So no pressure, no stress, just express. But our expectation is always victory, so it's nothing new.
Definitely. So all right, now we're gonna wrap this up. I just want to ask one more thing. Can I get a drop? Tell the people to come stop by the Smokehouse or Smoke With Me TV.
Yes, absolutely. What's up, everyone? This is Dewey Black Cobra Cooper. You got the black influence, so make sure you stop by the Smoke Shop at Smoke TV. Holla at your people.
You already know, yo. Again, man, it's your boy Smoke With Me TV. We're up another one. And then this Scythe, great interview. I think this is probably one of my best and probably going to be my best interviews with Dewey Cooper, man. Look out for him. He got a fight. He's training this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Anybody out there trying to get right, y'all know he out here in Vegas giving people right. You know what I'm saying? Thanks again to Jamie the Miracle Mitchell for even setting this up. Love you, sis. All right. But thanks for coming through the Smokehouse. Peace and blessings, people.
Peace and blessings.
Dewey, my brother.